You have priced out a conventional septic system, or a month of grocery bills, or what it costs to keep meat on the table through January without a hog on the place. Our grandfathers solved every one of those problems from their own land, with their own hands, at essentially no cost. Some of what they did is still against the law today, not because it stopped working. My name is Gideon Adkins, born outside Harlan, Kentucky, on land my grandfather cleared. Some of these restrictions exist because somebody stood to profit from what they replaced. The tax collector, the contractor, the processing plant. Others exist because a resource genuinely ran short, and the land could not recover fast enough to keep up with the taking. Both things are real. The 7 on this list are not all the same story. I am going to tell you which is which. Number 1. The copper pot still. A bushel of corn in these mountains was worth 25 cents. Run through a still. It came back as several dollars of whiskey. Did not rot. Traveled on a mule. For a farmer with no road to market, the still was not a vice. It was a value add. Same logic as pressing cider instead of watching apples fall. Popcorn Sutton was born in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. 6 generations of distillers behind him. Agents raided his Parrottsville, Tennessee property in early 2008. 1,700 gallons and 3 stills. He pleaded guilty that April, sentenced to 18 months federal prison in January 2009. He died by suicide on March 16th, 3 days before he was due to report. 62 years old. Cancer. The law traces not to Prohibition, but to 1862. Congress taxed liquor to fund the Civil War. After the war, the tax stayed. Every still in these mountains from 1865 onward was illegal for one reason: unpaid tax, not public safety. The stills on this ridge went quiet before I was born. The reason they were here never did. Number 2. Sanging. A good day in a productive hollow could carry a family through a cash-poor winter. No equipment, no capital. You walked into the woods and came out with money. Dried wild root sells for $800 a pound. Each state runs a season, September through December. The root must be at least 5 years old. 4 bud scars at the stem base means 5 years. West Virginia allows no digging from state forests or parks. North Carolina requires replanting berries on site. Removing ginseng from national forest land without a permit is theft of public property. $5,000 or 6 months federal prison. The Forest Service suspended all permits for Nantahala, Pisgah, and Cherokee National Forests in 2021. No legal way to dig there right now. This is not the same story as the still. The depletion is real. Poaching, stripping patches without replanting, is documented and ongoing. Earl taught me the replanting rule before anything else about the North Slope. The rule is the skill. Knowing where to dig is easy. Knowing to put it back is what takes the teaching. Number 3. Ramps. The first green after winter. For a family eating through its last stored food, the most welcome plant of the year. Free from the hollow and back every spring, as long as you left the bulb. Ramp suppers draw communities across West Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Then restaurants in New York discovered it. Commercial harvesting followed. A ramp patch taken to the bulb takes 10 to 20 years to come back. A population wiped out entirely may take 150. The plant does not produce seed until age 7. Those seeds take 2 more years to germinate. Great Smoky Mountains National Park banned all harvesting in 2002. $5,000 and possible jail. New River Gorge and 2 adjoining West Virginia parks followed in January 2022 after biologists could not find the populations. West Virginia National Forest land still allows 1 bag per person for personal use. Commercial gathering prohibited. This is not the still story. The depletion is real. The ramp hollow on this land has never been federal ground. Gideon takes only the tops. Not harvesting, managing. Number 4. The milk cow. Every homestead on this ridge kept at least one. Milk to the table, cream skimmed and churned into butter. 15 minutes at the churn, once the cream had ripened. Leftover skim milk to the pigs. Whey from churning to the chickens. Nothing left the cow unused. Cash outlay on dairy was essentially zero for a family that kept a cow and managed it. A pound of butter cost 36 cents at a store in 1935. Home-churned cost feed and time. The honest part. Pasteurization requirements began because outbreaks of typhoid, scarlet fever, and tuberculosis genuinely traced to raw milk moving through commercial handling chains. That rationale was real. What followed, extending those same rules to a farmer selling a jar of milk directly to a neighbor who knew the cow by name, is the part worth questioning. Today, the law changes at the county line. Kentucky is a gray area with no statute either banning or protecting herd shares. Tennessee bans retail sale but legalizes herd shares. West Virginia in March 2024 legalized direct on-farm sales. North Carolina re-legalized herd shares in 2018 after banning them for 14 years. There has been a milk cow on this land in every generation I can account for. Number 5. The outhouse. A few dollars in lumber. A weekend of labor. Nothing after that. When the pit filled over several years, you moved the structure and filled the old hole. The State Board of Health published construction guides for them well into the 20th century. They were not a poverty marker. They were the universal standard on working farms across these ridge counties until federal rural development programs ran sewer lines up the hollers. A conventional septic system today costs $8,000 to $15,000 installed. More on rocky ground, more on steep terrain where a drain field will not work. After the Clean Water Act in 1972, county sanitary codes reclassified everything into 2 categories: approved septic or municipal sewer. The pit privy, explicitly endorsed in public health bulletins 40 years earlier, became a code violation. In Kentucky, a composting toilet still requires a septic system alongside it for the gray water. The composting toilet is not a replacement. It is an addition. Enforcement almost never comes from inspection. It triggers at new construction or a property sale. The old privy behind the spring house predates any code that would reach it. Building a new one today would not. Number 6. The smokehouse. After the first hard frost, you killed the hog. Hams to the smokehouse. Fatback to lard. Sausage made same day. Liver on the table by evening. A 200-pound hog dressed to 40 pounds of ham. Salt and hickory smoke preserved it without refrigeration for 12 months. 2 hogs killed in November and a family ate through the following October. The Federal Meat Inspection Act was enacted June 30th, 1906. Other channels have gotten that date wrong. Getting it wrong makes everything else they say harder to trust. The law targeted Chicago's industrial meatpacking plants. It has always included a personal use exemption. Personal slaughtering for personal and household use is explicitly exempt from federal inspection. A family killing its own hog for its own table has never been the target. Not in 1906, not today. Where it bites is sale. Ham leaving the property for money brings in state inspection law. A new smokehouse built today requires a permit and fire code compliance. Clara ran the fall curing on this land. It has never needed a federal permit. It still does not. Number 7. The medicine shelf. Yarrow for wounds. mullein leaf for chest complaints, elderberry syrup through winter, plantain on infected cuts. Every plant grew at the wood's edge. Cost nothing. The alternative was a doctor, and money most Ridge families did not have. The plants have never been illegal. The restriction is on the claim. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 drew the line. A structure and function claim supports normal immune function, is legal with a disclaimer. A disease claim treats bronchitis, prevents influenza, requires FDA drug approval, a plant will never receive. Because it cannot be patented. Without a patent, the approval cannot be funded. The distance between those two statements is not obvious. People selling herbal preparations at markets cross it without knowing. NIH confirmed antiviral activity in elderberry. Hemostatic properties in yarrow. Wound healing compounds in plantain. These plants grew before the FDA existed. Unchanged. Bessie Stamper's pharmacy treated a whole ridge without a label on a single jar. What she did was never the problem. How you describe it to a stranger today is where the line sits. 7 practices. Not one story. Some of these exist because somebody stood to profit from what they replaced. The tax collector, the contractor, the processing plant 2 counties over. Others exist because a resource ran short faster than it could grow back. No anger changes the biology of a ramp patch. Knowing which story you are in before you act is the difference between a homestead decision and a federal case. The moonshine law is not changing because the tax it protects is not going away. The ginseng and ramp laws exist because the mountains ran short. Both things are real. Only one is worth being angry about. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 your family still practices, what county you are in, which surprised you most. I read every one. Next video, 10 Appalachian gardening hacks that never broke a law. I will see you there.